day Scotland Yard, and I turned against Holmes. My name is Dr. John Watson, companion chronicler and, on one fateful occasion, doubter of Sherlock Holmes. I have watched him bluff a killer into confession, and I have seen him name a man from the ash on his sleeve, but until that dripping Thursday in Norwood, I had never seen him plain, outright wrong. The evidence screamed guilty. Lestrade was beaming, and for the first time since we had shared lodgings, I was ready to swear my friend had lost his grip. The fire had eaten the old builder's study. Scraps of burnt paper floated like black butterflies. The safe gaped open, and Jonas Oldacre, so we thought, lay murdered inside. A blood-smeared walking stick, a will rewritten on the 5:10 train, and one perfect fingerprint on the hot iron door all pointed to John Hector MacFarlane, the young solicitor who dropped by the night before. Lestrade paraded me around the ruins, ticking boxes, means, motive, opportunity. Even I, trained to doubt, felt the net tighten. Holmes stepped in, sniffed once, and called the whole scene a child's drawing of guilt. I scribbled the phrase, sure it would come back to mock him. Lestrade laughed when Holmes hinted the will itself was forged by the deceased. Come now, Mr. Holmes, he snorted. Next you'll claim Oldacre roasted his own house to frighten the mice. I confess I laughed too. The official story felt snug, like a coat on a cold day. Holmes tapped the grate and asked if we'd spotted the cigar ash that doesn't exist in any London shop. I hadn't and said so. He replied that not seeing a thing doesn't prove it isn't there. I underlined the sentence for future sarcasm. We split up. Lestrade and I badgered the station master, the bank clerk, the charwoman. Every answer tightened MacFarlane's noose. Holmes vanished into the shrubbery with a lens and a cheese sandwich. At dusk, he reappeared, sleeves shredded, pockets stuffed with charred twigs. He meant to spend the night in the gutted study. I offered to stay, half from loyalty, half to shield him from ridicule. He refused, said even my loyal breathing might disturb the dust he meant to read. I retired to the inn and drank cocoa with Lestrade, who raised his mug to the end of fairy tale detection. At 3 a.m., a scream ripped through Norwood. We dashed outside to find Holmes pinning a wild-eyed, very much alive Oldacre to the wet grass. The builder had camped in a boarded pantry, staging his own murder to frame MacFarlane for insurance and pure spite. Holmes had simply waited for him to sneak back and plant a second will beneath a loosened brick. Lestrade's jaw dropped so low, I feared permanent damage. My own knees felt suddenly ornamental. Over breakfast, Holmes unwrapped the trick like a conjurer with an endless scarf. The ash was Turkish, sold in only 2 shops, one of them Oldacre's favorite. The fingerprint had been lifted from a document MacFarlane handled days earlier, pressed through glassine onto the safe. The blood? A shaving nick, smeared by Oldacre himself. Each revelation landed with the thud of a judge's gavel. Lestrade muttered that it was damned unnatural. I merely wrote, underlined, and wrote again. Back in Baker Street, I mumbled an apology, cheeks hot. Holmes brushed it aside, remarking that every great mind needs at least one loyal fool to keep it humble. I filed the case as always, but added a footnote. Loyalty must never become blindness. If you've ever doubted a friend, tell me how you patched the crack. My favorite answer wins a vintage facsimile of the Strand cover that first printed this tale. Subscribe for more stories where I, Watson, nearly wreck everything. And remember, look before you leap, or you may end up on a stranger's lawn at 3 in the morning with egg on your face and Scotland Yard laughing behind you.